Um, the weathermen, for instance, are told if you because in 2003, when we had dramatic second sun sightings, there seemed to be two suns rising because this complex was coming in.
Yeah.
People would tell me that they had weathermen seeing this on the screen behind them and turn and say, "What the heck was that? Did I just see the sun rise twice?" Well, that weatherman got smacked around afterward and told, I mean, they're careful not to do this, and
well, they always come up with that lens flare excuse. I've heard that so many times.
Right, and of course there are some lens flares. So you take a picture of the sun, but a lens flare is along a line. There's a series of flares along a line that seems to dissect the sun. It has particular characteristics, and sundogs too can form along a halo line around the sun. But the photos, I have like hundreds of them on my website. I would be willing to say 50%, certainly 90% probably, are of either the moon's swirls that accompany this complex or the complex itself captured in film. And right now it's difficult because it's coming at us from the direction of the sun. We are stopped like deer in the headlights in front of it, and all the sunlight bounces off the rear of this dust cloud back to the sun so that it looks like a dim fuzzball to us. And we don't really see it as an illuminated object like Venus, which is the size of Earth and is considered a star, but it has a smooth surface with, not a huge dust cloud shrouding it. This dust cloud is immense. We are getting some of this now with the fireballs and debris that are returning now toward Earth, and it's going to get worse. Take out our satellites, take out the ISS eventually. We don't know just when.
How close would you say the planet is to making its passage?
Now, the Zetas are real hesitant to give a date, and in the first place, I think there's some limitation. They are restrained by the administrative forces, and we do have a police force in the universe, the Council of Worlds. They are told, don't give an exact date. They explain, though, that it is better for mankind not to know the exact date, although they will say before 2012. They're saying 2012 is too late. But being general like that, they can't be more specific because the people who would like to declare martial law, put poison in a city's water system and poison off a bunch of people that they don't want on the road migrating toward wealthy enclaves. This kind of mischief would be more likely to happen if certain elite forces or establishment characters, would understood the exact date. But if they don't know the exact date, well, they're not going to poison everybody in L.A., so that they don't migrate up into Utah, into the wealthy enclaves in Utah, Republican enclaves. They're not going to do that if they think that there's going to be 2 or 3 years until the pole shift, because there's liable to be capture and prosecution of whoever was behind it. But they want, if they knew within a few days or a couple of weeks, they could get away with it. And so the Zetas say, therefore, we are not we are not giving you the date.
Now, for those who might be listening today who are a little bit hesitant about what we're discussing here, Nancy, what can you tell those people about what they can expect to see happen between, let's say, between this year, 2009, and before 2012, as far as Earth changes and climatic conditions? What's going to take place?
Yeah, we're talking about this 3-year period. The Zetas have been very explicit about the steps to watch for, and they've said you will not be taken by surprise. This is not going to take you by surprise. And by the way, after I'm done describing the steps, I'd like to just touch on some of the Zeta advice for what people should do about this. Very important if you give people bad news to talk about the good news side of it, so to speak, or what they can do about it at least. They said the steps are going to be that the Earth wobble, which we've had since early 2004, will get worse. This is documented on my website, zetatalk.com, and it means that the North Pole is pushed away and then it bounces back, and so that the North Pole forms a figure 8. This can actually be seen on a recent graphic that shows snow cover, where there's less snow cover from 1996 to 2005, less snow cover in the western U.S. and eastern Russia, right across the Arctic from each other, and more in the Great Lakes and Mongolia, right across the Arctic from each other. The Earth's wobble basically has created this differential in snow cover. It's a dramatic piece of evidence that I recently discovered showing the wobble. But the wobble is measured by where the sun rises and sets, as observers around the world have reported to me on a regular basis, and I've documented that. It's unquestionable. People say the sun seems to be too far north, or why is the moon over there? The moon has really gone too far extreme north and south during its sojourn, monthly sojourn also, because it's avoiding, intense particle flows, is what the Zetas say. The steps are as follows. Increased wobble, getting to the point where the world's North Pole will try to lean to the left to evade Planet X, which is coming in a retrograde orbit from the right, as we're in the northern hemisphere looking at the sun, right and left. Then it will lean to the left almost to the point of falling on its side, as the Zetas say, which then the North Pole turns away from the sun as Planet X continues to approach us for the passage for 3 days of darkness. This is a Catholic prophecy, which they have confirmed. Then, according to the Islamic hadiths, 6 days of sunrise west, which the Zetas explain is after this 3 days of darkness, this is gradually, the world kind of takes a while to come straight again, and the sun's dawning appears to be just a little to the west of the North Pole. By now, everybody should know, right, that what's going on. We probably will see this Planet X complex in the skies by this time arriving, the red dust cloud with the sunlight coming through it looking like some sort of a monster octopus or dragon, etc. Then the Earth slowly stops its rotation. This is in folklore recorded. The West Coast Indians saying long night, Egyptians saying long day, Joshua had the sun in the sky stand still for a whole day, etc. From the Bible, true stories. But it takes like maybe 2 or 3 weeks for the rotation to slow to a stop. Then when it stops, the Zetas say 5.9 days. This is a time to have your manual clock that you wind up watched, so that you can determine when that passes. Then the hour of the pole shift, when the North Pole will violently be pushed away, and 90 degrees, and we have a new North, South, and South Pole. Climate change everywhere, a lot of sloshing of water along the coastlines, be 100 miles inland, 200 feet up above sea level at least. After that, within a 2-year period, because of the friction of the crust sliding, will heat the ocean beds, which swell and heat the water, so that we have a 675-foot sea level rise worldwide. Amazon basin flooded, Siberia flooded, Mississippi Valley flooded, and you have to figure to be your safe location above that, or get a houseboat during this period and float along with the new coastline until you arrive at where the new coastline will be.
What about the people that are living along the New Madrid fault line? What can they expect?
That will. The Zetas have said that this will actually be the more violent and earlier rupture than the San Andreas. They have pointed out that as this Earth wobble happens, with the North Pole being pushed away on a daily basis, this is rough on the Earth plates, and they have been jerked back and forth until their edges are smooth, and we'll now have an increase in earthquakes, increase in the magnitude, and each earthquake has the fault lines moving further. And this shows up. We know that the USGS takes quakes away and lies about the magnitude, but soon it's going to be to where nobody believes them anymore, and everybody can tell that quakes have picked up. Humming, vibrations, booms from snapping rock, all this picking up. So they have pointed out that the North American plate cannot roll in place. You have the African plate, which is rolling, as the Atlantic pulls apart, and that's what causes the Rift Valley. South America has kind of like a rounded top, the plate does, so it can roll. North America is a flat top. It's a straight line from Japan right through the Arctic to Iceland,